Alrighty guys, welcome to your sixth video, and in this video what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting styling the web page and making it look a little bit prettier. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make an overall main CSS file, and what this is going to be is the CSS for every single web page, not one specific web page. I'm talking about the text color, maybe the I don't know, just the overall links, pretty much the main styling that we need on every single web page. So I'm going to go ahead and make my little embed thing right here, link, relative, and the first thing I want to do is link to this style sheet. And we didn't create this yet, but we will in just a second. And this will be located in, I like to put all of my CSS files in a separate directory, CSS, and it makes it so much easier than just scattering your PHP files and mixing them in with your CSS files. And I'm going to name this main.css. Now remember, this main CSS file, this is going to be the file that's included on every single web page. Like I said, it's responsible for your links, your text color, styles that you need on every single web page. I can't stress that enough. So now what I want to do is, since we linked to this, we might as well go ahead and create it right now. So let me just type something in and put file, save as, new folder, CSS. And remember, inside this directory is where all of our CSS files are going to be, and this one was named main.css. So there we go. And now the very first thing we want to do is we want to center the web page. Now, so many people have so much difficulty centering a web page. You think it would just be easy, but it's actually pretty hard. So let me show you guys how to do that first. The first thing we want to do before we even center the body is we want to set all the margins to 0 pixels and all of the padding to 0 pixels as well. And last but not least, list style type none. Now the reason I'm doing all this and applying this to all the elements is some elements by default, they have default margins, default padding, and the lists by default, like unordered list and ordered list, they have little things that appear next to it. I am totally resetting everything. So we're going to be responsible for every little detail of every little item, complete control over our entire website. So now what I want to do is I want to center the body, and in order to do that, not body, text, align, center. Now this doesn't mean that all the text on our web page is going to be centered, but this is what we need to do so far to center the body. Font family Arial, and for font size, let's go ahead and set it at 12 pixels by default. And for the color of all the font, I really don't like black because I don't know, it just looks like so standard. So what I'm going to do is, by default, the color is going to be 30 30 30. Now this is a really dark gray, it's almost black, but it just gives us a little bit of styling that makes it a little bit prettier than plain old black. So let me go ahead, and the next thing I want to do is I want to apply something special to our HTML element. So for HTML5, we have that header, the nav, which is navigation, section, aside, and footer. Now a lot of people asked me this question. They said, whenever you're making HTML5, I understand aside and section kind of, but how are they different than div? Well, they're pretty much, aside and section and all of these elements are pretty much the exact same thing as a div. The only difference is whenever like search engines and stuff look at your website, it doesn't know the contents inside a div. It's saying, okay, is there a picture in here? Is there text? Is there navigation? What HTML5 allows you to do is like a div plus one. It's like a div but better. Not only does it give you all the functionality of a div, but it also explains the content type inside of that section. So that's the little background. I should have explained that in my HTML5 tutorials, but I didn't. What I want to do is I want to display all of these as a block. Now block is pretty much the opposite of inline, which, you know, paragraphs and spans are inline. You should already know what that is as well. So after this, we need to do a little more styling, and this is kind of a cross-browser compatibility thing. Now on Google Chrome, Let me give you a little bit of history about a browser. On Google Chrome, whenever you have an image and you want to link the image, for example, I want this logo right here to link to my website. No matter if you're on the search page or the register page, whenever you click this logo, I want it to link to the home page, just like you see there. Well, on Google Chrome, by default, whenever you have an image as a link, it doesn't display a border around it. But on Internet Explorer in Firefox, it does display a border around it. So that's kind of annoying because you're trying to develop a website and it looks different on different browsers. So what we're saying right here is on all of my images, no matter what browser you are, I don't want any borders on any of them. So this is pretty much the main styling for the website. Now, from here on, what we need to do is I'm going to make a bunch of different looking headers. I already tested around the looks of these so they look beautiful, and that's what we're going to be doing in the next tutorial. But make sure you make your main CSS file, store it in a CSS directory, and make sure you link to it in your register.php. And in the next tutorial, it's probably going to take 2 tutorials actually to finish the rest of the CSS file. So anyways, I'll quit talking now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, yada yada, and I'll see you next time.